This is a product video for Avery Dennison's MPI PVC-free 1405 print film with Easy Apply RS. And here are the details. Product number 1405, film type PVC polyurethane, 90-pound liner, roll widths 54 and 60 inch, roll lengths 25 and 50, thickness 2 mil, adhesive gray long-term removable acrylic, and for uses it can be applied to textured walls and vehicles. For production information you go to this URL for the right profile. Here are the inks that can be used. Outcast time is 24 hours. Lamination should be 6460. Vertical overlap should be 3/4 of an inch. The material is not directional. And here's the warranty: 6 years vertical, 3 years horizontal. Standard loading of print material can vary based on the print manufacturer. Always be sure to download the right profile for 1405 from the Avery Dennison website. If using solvent or eco-solvent ink, outgas for 24 hours. MPI 1405 and 6460 DOL are urethane, which means a sharp blade during production means quality trimming. Avoid using markers on 6460 DOL as they will not wipe off. Also, due to the thinness of this combination, it is recommended on highly saturated prints to place masking tape or pre-mask on the edges. This keeps the film from folding over on itself, which will help during the install. And here are the tips for textured walls. Minimum install temperature 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Clean with a plastic brush, can be used for indoor and outdoor, superior conformability, and here are the recommended tools. If installing outside, make sure the wall has been dry for at least 24 hours. A damp surface will keep the adhesive from properly bonding for the long term. For prep, simply clean with a brush that has plastic bristles. No alcohol or wiping down required. Because the surface energy is very low for rough textured walls, it can be difficult installing the panel with a standard masking tape temporary hinge, as this will make exact placement difficult. Therefore, it's best to mark the placement of the panel with masking tape markers before releasing the liner. To release the liner, simply pull it back 8 to 10 inches, lightly lock the panel in place with a hand, then a squeegee stroke from top to bottom. Remove the rest of the liner flat onto the wall, then readjust the panel if needed so that it matches the marks. Now lock the entire panel in place with a flat hand using overlapping strokes. Once in position, set the outside edges with a foam roller and a heat gun. Be sure to do a 360-degree loop. This will keep the panel from shifting when the 1405 is formed into the textured surface. To form the 1405, it's best to keep the heat gun moving in slight increments top to bottom and move evenly from one side of the panel to the other. Follow closely behind with a foam roller. Finding the right speed and amount of heat needed will vary based on outside temperature. Always overlap the strokes with the roller in half to ensure full coverage and that the 1405 is fully set up. When completed, double check the surface for any areas that are not completely formed to the surface. There is no need to pick the panel back up. Simply go over these areas with the heat and roller for 100% coverage. The last step is to do a 360-degree loop on the edges to make sure they are fully sealed. This will ensure that no moisture will get under the film. One very important install tip to keep in mind is that since 6460 is urethane based, too much heat will cause it to get tacky, which makes it grip the foam roller brush. Here is an example. This creates a white mark on the print. Once the installer gets the right rhythm, there will be no marks on the print, which will result in a perfect finish. And here's an example of how tight the seal is once 1405 is formed onto the wall. Water is sprayed on the top edge and simply slides down, no buildup on the edges. Same results for the sides. You will now see how to apply Avery Dennison's MPI 1405 with 6460 DOL to brick walls, which have similar yet slightly different techniques. The surface energy is in most cases higher than rough textured walls, which means making a masking tape temporary hinge can be used to anchor the panel in place. Because this panel is in direct sunlight, masking tape is placed on the edge to keep it from curling during this process. Remove the liner, pull evenly to the left, then squeegee vertically to create a permanent hinge. Remove the masking tape, then squeegee towards the left to seal the edge. Once set, release the entire liner with the 1405 flat to the wall, set the film to the bricks with the palm of a hand, then do a 360-degree edge set with the roller. Turn the heat gun on highest setting and work with a steady flow on the flat faces of the bricks. Finding the right rhythm depends on the outside temperature. For the recessed areas between the bricks, adapt the foam roller to the grooves to get a full seal and work in overlapping sections. Once installed, Do another 360-degree check over to seal all the edges, and here is a shot of the final result. For vehicles, workspace temperature 60 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, standard cleaning methods, OEM paint no older than 5 years, high conformability for all types of recessed areas of compound curves, and here are the tools needed to achieve a professional result with long-term durability. When working on vehicles with deep recessed areas, it's best to use a scratchless sponge at the beginning during the cleaning process. This will create more surface area. Then finish off with a degreaser, like 70% isopropyl alcohol. Once the surface is set, it's very important to change the buffer on your squeegee. 6460 DOL tends to grip standard felt buffers when used dry, so it's best to swap this out for a wet buffer and use soap and water. This will keep the squeegee gliding on the surface. Set the panel up with a magnet hinge, then release the liner and cut it away. Pull MPI 1405 evenly towards the top and, before making a permanent hinge, wet the buffer with soap and water. This will help it glide evenly on the surface. Then lock it in place with a permanent hinge. Squeegee the film over the main recessed area. Then, once set, it's time to form the film in place. Using an Avery Dennison application glove, spray it generously with soap and water to get the best results. Apply the deepest corners first and work towards the opening. Unlike other full print films in the Avery Dennison series, 1405 needs minimal heating to make it conform properly. Keep the finger at a 45-degree angle to ensure that the film doesn't wrinkle during this process. Apply the flat areas last, as this means the tension is mostly on these areas as opposed to the corners. Before going on, go over the recessed areas with heat to activate the adhesive flow. For more moderate recessed areas like the door handle cup and license plate areas, repeat the same steps. Form the deepest parts first with moderate heat, squeegee the flat last, then activate the adhesive with a heat check over. To ensure a clean cut, click the blade and pull the film away with the free hand so the 1405 doesn't grip the blade. For tight areas, to keep the film from folding on itself, use tweezers to pull the film away. This creates the right amount of tension to make a perfect cut. Avery Dennison MPI 1405 with 6460 DOL also conforms very well to severe compound curves like on this mirror. The trick is to evenly spread the tension out. Once the film is firmly in place on the main surface area, tuck the film into the edges using an Avery Dennison blue squeegee and a flex stream. Before cutting, click the blade so it's extra sharp. This will make a perfect cut. Once the excess film has been removed, always go back and seal the edges, and for tight grooves, use the flex stream. For post-heating, temperature is 160 to 170 Fahrenheit. Always wait 30 minutes but no longer than 24 hours. Cure time is 24 hours above 55 degrees. Don't clean the surface with alcohol, and always be sure to use Avery Dennison aftercare products. It's very important to keep in mind that MPI 1405 and 6460 DOL has a lower post-heating temperature than MPI 1105 and the corresponding DOLs, which are PVC based. Excessive heat can cause 1405 to whiten. And here are the removal details. Medium to high heat, less than 20% adhesive residue will be left behind, and there will be no damage for OEM paint in good condition. The heat source can be varied, either propane torch, heat guns, IR heaters, or steamers. The trick is to soften the film, then pull evenly, low and flat. In most cases, MPI 1405 will not damage textured or brick walls. For vehicles, work in sections, pull low and flat. For more information on Avery Dennison's MPI 1405 with Easy Apply RS, you can go to this URL or see examples of the product installed on Instagram or Facebook. This has been a product video for Avery Dennison's PVC-free MPI 1405 Easy Apply RS. Proudly produced by the Rep Institute.